Money?
We've got to have money.
Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great day so far. With the release of pre-orders for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Nintendo announced that they would be selling the game at $70, instead of their typical release price of $60. Now of course, price hikes are never fun for the consumer, and for a game that was announced and in development before these changes became more common, it leaves me and a lot of others very sour. I'm not gonna say it's completely unreasonable for prices to raise. If you don't live in the US, you're a foreigner and you're unaware, the US right now is going through massive inflation levels and is very possibly close to an economic recession. Some analysts say that we're already in one, but I'm not gonna sit here and talk like I know much about politics and the economy. And, it's not like inflation or recessions only affect the common civilian. It affects major businesses too. I'm a very young adult, so the only knowledge I really have is what I've been personally experiencing in my life. And let's just say it's not been good. Just in my area, prices of generalized goods have quite literally doubled. Or at the very least, it sure as hell fucking feels like it. So, of course, I'm going to be biased against the increase of video game prices because, I've been heavily affected by the economy. But, it's a touchy subject, and maybe talking about it to an audience will give me a better understanding, or maybe let me know how other people feel about it. But anyways, back to the Legend of Zelda game. What I find most astonishing with this game in particular is Nintendo just had the worst press release I've ever seen them do in relation to the price change. Apparently Nintendo told news publications that their reasoning for selling the game at $70 is a case-by-case basis, and that in this case they know that The Legend of Zelda is going to sell well, so they're going to sell it at $70, and said that for their other big title coming out, Pikmin 4, the game will only cost $60 because not so many people are going to be buying that game. Which, what? To give Nintendo credit, Tears of the Kingdom is a very massive game to them, and I have no reason to believe that the game will be bad per se, as Nintendo is known to be fairly consistent in making decent games. But for them to essentially say that they're gonna do it because of greed in this case, because they know that the game is very hyped and many people are gonna buy it, it's just very frustrating and, extremely confusing. To be honest, I don't think that's the true reason why they're doing the price change for this specific game. I just think that the game probably had very expensive development costs. And, with the economy being unpredictable at the moment, I can at least understand them needing to raise costs. But it's just so weird. Like, the only logical conclusion I can make is that they felt this would lessen the anger and frustration of fans by saying that they're not going to do this every game, it's going to be situational. But, if that's the case, I feel it was a horrible PR decision. I don't know. But I guess with that story explained, I can get to talking about my main concerns with all this. I might have a very unpopular opinion, however, I just don't think most video games should be $70, if at all. Especially at this specific time, and with how the gaming industry has been lately. When I sit down and think about all the games I purchased at $60, half of them or more I say were worth that price. And I don't think that's an uncommon sentiment to make, as a lot of $60 AAA games that have come out in recent memory have been very mixed, with only a few very successful and popular games. It's especially surprising when you look at a platform like Steam, where sales are the most hyped thing on the entire platform. Most people suggest waiting for a sale to buy games, and again, this is with games costing $60. And now games are expected to be launching at $70? It's very frustrating for gamers. And it's even worse on platforms like the Nintendo Switch, because Nintendo almost never has sales on their games. And if they do, they're extremely minor. And I just think this is a big problem. With these price changes, you'd think that they would focus more on improving the quality of their games and making the value proposition more appealing. But you see, in the gaming industry, they just don't do that. They're releasing the same old games filled with overpriced microtransactions and monetization, and season passes that end up bringing the game's price tag to over $100. It's insane. And you know that they'll just continue to argue that they offer value when they just simply don't. The games aren't going to get better because of this price change. They're going to stay the same that they ever were. They're just now going to cost $10 more. Let me ask a question to you all, and maybe I can get a perspective I wouldn't normally get. What games have you played in the past that you'd actually consider paying $70 for if they launched at that price? For me, there's very, very few games that I'd say are absolutely worth that price. The most recent game that's come out that I'd say is worth the price tag is Elden Ring. And that game came out at $60. Other games I can think of is 2016's Spider-Man, GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, the two modern Doom games, Doom and Doom Eternal, all of which I purchased at $60 or less because of sales. But seriously, I'd like to know what you guys think would be worth that price tag, as it's so hard to justify just every big budget game to be $70 when myself, I've hardly played any games that I think are worth $70. Another issue I have with higher prices is, especially for platforms like consoles, the technology of them doesn't really improve. The Switch, for example, is a very limiting console in terms of what it can perform in modern times. The pro of the console is it's a quite affordable thing to buy itself, but it's going to be absolutely insane to justify buying massive price games on a console that's, aging like spoiled milk. And on PC, it's also very tough to justify buying $70 games, due to just how high the barrier of entry is on a gaming PC in general. Buying a good, affordable gaming PC right now is extremely tough, and, the economy sure as hell isn't helping with that either. Overall, it's just a very frustrating time to be a gaming fan, and I'm worried about the future of high-budget games, as this could eventually backfire on gaming companies, and games might even become worse because of this. It's a very concerning time, that's for sure. Of course, it's not like you have to buy these games. It's a hobby after all, and it's not a necessity that they're affordable for everyone. I'd be stupid to argue that. But I just feel this is going to negatively affect the already mixed experience gamers have been having lately. It doesn't help that we've all been feeling like walking money sacks to these big corporations lately as well. There's probably truth that people will still just buy these games anyway. I mean, of course people are going to. People are already willing to spend $1,000 on a bag that costs like $50 to make. So a price increase like that probably wouldn't mean anything to those people. But, for the overall community, especially of those that love playing games but just can't easily afford them, this is just gonna suck. With me personally, I'm very lucky with all the stuff I got growing up playing video games, as the things I did get growing up, we didn't really have a lot of money to spare on them. So whenever I got them, it was, it was meaningful. As time goes on, it's getting worse for people that lived in a similar situation like me that can't play these games anymore. It just has me worried for the hobby of video games and the future of it. Now, of course, it's not all bad. I mean, in recent years, indie game development has just exploded. And some of the most amazing and popular games out today aren't even made by massive corporations. Hell, the last mainstream big game that came out was, like, Among Us. And that game is $5. Or even free on mobile, I think. I don't know. And like I just said, they sure as hell don't tend to charge an arm and leg for them either. And free-to-play games as well, even with a lot of the cons they tend to have, are still extremely popular, and that's great for everyone that just wants to be able to play games. Hell, one of the most exciting games for me this year, Blue Protocol, which is going to be like a MMO with like a kind of anime art style, is going to be a free-to-play game. So overall, there's still a large amount of things to look forward to. So even if you're someone like me who is frustrated with the modern gaming market, you'll still be able to find enjoyment with limited money. I'd personally like to hear your guys' opinions about the whole $70 games thing, if you think it's worth it and stuff. Maybe you'll learn something new or gain a new perspective from what you all have to say. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.